YouTubers, this is another video from your friendly neighborhood reviewer Evelyn. Today we're going to be reviewing a new K-drama slash apocalypse series, Duty After School. The first 6 episodes was released, one week after the other. I'm a bit slow to this show because I have heard some mixed reviews. Think about All of Us is Dead, but let's change zombies to alien invasion. I'm not going to be explaining all the parts of this, more like questions. People that really like this show, explain to me some of the glaring plot holes here. So the premise of the show: mysterious alien spheres have appeared over the Earth, one certain side of the Earth. The army tried to shoot it down, but to no avail, so they decide in Korea to leave it alone because it wasn't disturbing anyone. When I saw the first episode, we have the army looking at a sphere that dropped down, so they decide to shoot it. But what happens after was left as a complete mystery. Flash forward, we get introduced to this high school, the assembled cast of high school students. Like typically you have, the bully, you have the person that's getting bullied by the bully from the boys' side, and then we also was with the girls' side. What's interesting about this show, there's a lot of twists and turns, and you think, one of the high school students that might be like the lead of the show ends up, not being the lead, and they end up switching to all the other remaining school students. So unbeknownst to the high school students, the spheres are dropping down left, right, and center, and these tiny little alien creature squid things are consuming human bodies by draining their energy. So what the army has decided, in the greatest, genius move of them, they're going to bribe the high school students with this certain college exam that they'll get points towards this exam so they can go off to college. However, they're going to be trained by the army in the high school. This is the part which I don't understand. Why high school students? Why not, all the dads that clearly went through, the conscription, as it is mandatory in South Korea, bring them out? Why high school students that we have to understand maybe between the ages to 16 to 18? What maturity will they have to, handle armed weapons and make mature decisions? And not everybody is cut out from the army, psychologically, physically. They could maybe do other things, but that bit I just didn't get. And nobody's told the high school students from the school that a war is breaking out. They all believe they're doing army training, and when they finish, they'll have points for this test, the CASAT or CSAT. Now, let's stop here for a moment. They've been living in a year with spheres on the air. To me personally, I wouldn't be caring about high school. I'll be looking, I'm gonna move to a different country, I'm gonna be somewhere else, away from the spheres, and when things hit the fan, they can deal with that there. So let me know in the comments what's the rationale with the army. So as they start training, and all the high school students, some of them got forced to do the army training because they had no choice, like the bully, which I'll put up the name, and others, for being studious, they want to get the points so they can go to their choice of college or help with the test. But however, we have the scene around in episode 1, the parents are tearfully packing off their child's things. Didn't the parents know? Well, did the army tell them something different, that their children will be used as guinea pigs to fight against the monsters? I don't get that. Again, someone put in the comments the rationale between the show. So while everybody's training for the army, we have the school bully and the other guy they called Kimchi, now I remember his name, and the other third person, which only appears in episode 1, of Young-so, the actor Park Ju-young. I legitimately thought he was going to end up being, the lead between all of this, but he ends up being consumed by a giant squid thing that comes out from the sphere. And also we can say the main guy actually is the young lieutenant that survived the attack in the beginning of episode 1. The character's name is Lee Chung-hoo. So he's the one that wants to save people because he's left traumatized that all his army colleagues died in the first attack when they tried shooting the sphere. So he's very keen in wanting to make sure to prepare the students as the first student dies, I think it's in the first episode, and we see the nice teacher of Miss Park, that she cares about her students. She's trying to understand what's going about. The fatal mistake that the army did not tell the students is the real story, because if they would have told the students everything, because in reality, this whole ploy of them getting points for this test was just a ploy. Maybe they'll give it if they survive the alien invasion. They'll get the points for the test and they'll do it. But however, once the high school students found out within the episodes, because I'm around episode 3 or 4 at the moment, all the, for obvious reasons, they want to get out from the high school and go back to their parents. But in so many other words, they are now shown they're forced to stay in the high school and do the army training. Because as the first high school student dies, the lieutenant tells Dibberly and Kimchi and his mom Miss Park not to tell anyone for the time being. And again, that's another fatal mistake. As the alien invasion progresses, more the spheres drop down. The so-called head of the army group of that place tells the lieutenant Cho Hyung that we have to now train the students with the shooting range, and Cho Hyung's like, he's saying the obvious things. I understand his position, that he's put in a difficult position of having to follow the military rules, but at the same time trying to look at the mental well-being of these students. So as they go to the shooting range, there's some realistic scenes. One big positive thing about this show is realistic responses from teenagers. That it's all fun and games, but when the real danger appears, they're just scared children. So they go off to the shooting range, they're training extensively, and then when they come back, we see that the first attack of the aliens come about when these two jokers from the group, this guy and another boy, they decide to separate and go into an abandoned shop. That's when all hell breaks loose. Miss Park tragically dies heroically, and of course another student, and we end up finding out that the army have generated a special weapon, this little bullets full of uranium, in which we get told in flashbacks that these uranium bullets kill the smaller alien creatures. Now, the translation, I did not get this part, their rationale between using high school students. The translation said that they haven't got enough rifles, that's why we're using high school students. I don't understand that. Then what about the rest of the army, the ones properly trained? Why don't you just give the weapons you have to the army people you have? If you have less bullets and more people, why bring in high school students instead of using the existing army that's there? I don't get that. And of course we have the army personnel that are trained for this. Why test this on kids? But also in other flashbacks, after Lee Chung-ho survived the attack, the lieutenant, he's there in an arm brace. He asks what's gonna happen, next, and then his, higher superior says the next steps would be to draft in all the fathers and moms, I guess, and then all the high school students. So from my understanding, the army decided to do as a guinea pig experiment, having this particular high school to be trained, and see what happens from there. For me, a lot of glaring plot holes. So I'm gonna end it here. Put your comments down below. Who understood better the translation, the reason why they're using high school students? Oh, and the second part, do you agree it was a stupid move for the army not to give the full disclosure to the teenagers? Because at the end of the day, the teenagers, they were given the illusion of choice. In reality, they never had the choice. They were going to be obligated by the military to do this because it's an alien invasion, for God's sake. And of course, there's the other tidbit that we end up finding out with the other two boys that went off to the shop and got attacked by the small creature aliens. When you enclose one of these small aliens into the fridge or freezer, the cold seemed to damage them. So, not a big stretch. But then again, in the flashbacks, I'm pointing out yet again, we see the army testing various types of weapons of what will affect the aliens. They have, flamethrowers, poison gas, but they never decide to try with deep freeze temperatures. Come on! Well, this is the end of the video. I say again, leave your comments down below what you think about the series, and you think this is a poor rip-off of All of Us is Dead. Entertaining your viewers, we appreciate we can hit the subscribe button. To all the other subscribers, thanks again for watching, and as I leave you always, stay safe, bye!